You are watching another episode of Shane Solomon Meets, brought to you by the Cornwall channel. I'm your host, Shane Solomon, and today I'm meeting the wonderful Peter Guest. So Peter, welcome to Cornwall Channel Studios. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me, Shane. Lovely to be here. We keep bumping into each other. It's nice to actually sit down in the same room as you.
That's
finally.
right.
We're like ships that pass in the night. But
Indeed. Well, it's always nice to see the faces, certainly of our viewers, to see the faces of our Cornwall councillors, and you are a Cornwall councillor for Bugle and for Roche.
Roche and Bugle division.
Indeed. Yeah. And of course, I live in Roche as well, so I'm very passionate about the village that I live in. But where does the journey start for Peter? You know, when did you start getting into politics? And even coming to Cornwall, come to that.
Well, let's start with Cornwall first. A few years ago, I was working in Germany, met a young maid who was from Cornwall, from St Mabon actually.
Okay.
Just round the corner from here.
Indeed.
She was chalet maiding for the winter in a ski resort in Austria. I was working just over the border in Germany. Ever so romantic, blah, blah, blah. And we got going. She said, well, come down to Cornwall to visit, meet my family and all that. I said, lovely, give me directions. And this is my introduction to Cornwall. She says, I'll meet you at Jamaica Inks, you'll never find it. Which is absolutely true, you know. And got married, had families and all that. Local girls, so that's my Cornish connection.
Okay.
Of Liverpool origin, so you know, you couldn't get any further up the country. But yeah, I'm here now. Actually lived in Cornwall for about the last 17 years and wouldn't move.
Sure. So you're fully qualified then? Fully qualified?
Kind of, yeah. I'm still a bit of an incomer, but you know, I will be when I'm 90. But
you're passionate about the area, right? You wouldn't have gone for doing what you do now if you were not passionate about where you live, right?
Absolutely. I mean, without sounding big-headed, and I really don't mean that, I've had a pretty good life. And I got to the stage now where I think it's about time to put something back into the community. You know, they've been very good to me. The various communities that I've lived in over the years have been brilliant to me. And it was time to put something back into it. And the political side of it, there was a general election about 8 years ago, I think. Could have been 7, can't remember. And I got chatting to somebody, said, well, would you like to come out and do a bit of campaigning for Steve Double? So I don't know the first thing about politics. Got talking, got campaigning, and then I was approached by the Conservative Party. So, yeah, as I'm affectionately known in Bugle, I am Tory boy. You've met Joe Rusbridge, obviously.
I know Joe very well. Yes, we know. We all time for Joe.
We all know Joe. Really good friend and a really good work colleague. We work really closely together to serve in the community. And I said, "Do you fancy standing in the next election?" I said, "I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, but okay." They said, "It's going out talking to people, find out what they want, what you can do for them."
Yes.
And so a lot of shoe leather later. Wasn't expecting to get him. I'll be frank. And I won. And at sort of 4 o'clock in the morning at Weybridge, when in the Royal Cornwall halls, they said, "Oh, and the winner is." I went, and I had 2 minutes to sort of knock up an acceptance speech, and I was a gibbering wreck. It's kind of improved since then. I've kind of got over the shock, and but it was a bit of a shock. But no, and I can honestly say, hand on heart, it's the best job I've ever had.
Sure. And of course, at the minute, I mean, every community throughout the land is struggling at the moment with everything, with the, you know, the prices of electricity and energy going up, food, and things
fuel,
like that.
The works.
And we could talk all day about the negatives and things. And I want this video interview really to be about, you know, who you are, who people contact in the wards if they've not met you yet, and things like that. Just get an understanding of who you are, but also talk about some of the good things. I mean, the skate park in Roche, for example. Let's start with Roche. So that's been a great addition to the community, isn't it? It's
superb. It really is the jewel in the crown in Roche. I really think so. I mean, I can't claim full credit for that. Work was in progress prior to myself being elected, and a lot of credit should go to John Wood, the previous councillor, and of course Dan Inch and the parish council of Roche. But what I came in towards the end, so yeah, I was involved to a certain extent, but it was already done. But I think the secret of that one was, when the plans were being drawn up, we involved the local youngsters, asked them what they wanted, got feedback from them, and they kind of like built up a sense of ownership for the skate park. And in a way, they self-police it as well. Yeah, they're proud of their skate park. It's their skate park.
Yeah, and it's good to see it. I drive by it most days, and I'll see it, and it just all looks great. You know, there's no scraps, there's no fights. You know, it's good.
It's busy, but in a good way.
Yeah, it seems really well respected. Let's go down to Bugle, of course. The buses. That's something you want to.
I do want to bring that up. Yeah, but a big shout out first off to the community in Bugle, as well as Roche. Really strong sense of community there, and there's a lot of very good people doing a lot of unsung work there.
Sure,
and you really. You probably picked it up at the band contest as well when we were down for that a few weeks ago. The sense of community and pride within Bugle itself is brilliant. And that's down to a few drivers who are out getting involved, helping people in crisis. 'Cause it's not all sweetness and light, it isn't.
No, it's not.
People have issues, there are problems.
Of course.
And it's great that we've got a network where issues and problems can be flagged up, and we can't necessarily fix it all the time, but we can certainly help people. But the reason why I would like to bring up, it's a good news story. Up until a year ago, we had a perfectly straightforward bus service. You could get on the bus in St Austell, go through Bugle, go through Roche, onto Bodmin and back. It worked for everyone because people in Bugle needed to go to Roche for the pharmacy.
Indeed.
The post office at the time. We've now got one in Bugle, which is great. But then, I believe it was a commercial decision from up country somewhere. We'll leave it at that.
Yep.
They decided to split the routes. And there was a Roche to St Austell route and a Bugle to St Austell route. Unfortunately, somebody in Bugle couldn't get to Roche. Now, it's taken a lot of work by myself and Steve Double, our local MP, talking to the transport companies, talking to Cornwall Councillor, the transport department and all that. And I'm pleased to say that from the 4th of September, they're reverting back to the old system, which is superb news. We're trying to get the word out there. Timetables are en route. But hopefully, a lot of people have complained about it, and it's caused great inconvenience to them. But hopefully, we've got it. It took a year, which is unfortunate, but sometimes the wheels of bureaucracy do turn quite slowly.
Indeed.
You know?
And with what you do, the majority of the time, you must be getting inquiries from people having a moan, let's say, because someone's like, right, I guess not many people ring you up until you after you've done something, like the buses might phone you up and say, do you know what, Peter, fantastic job you're doing, great, I've got nothing to report, but, So how do you deal with that? Because there's a lot of negativity around that.
There can be. I mean, the thank yous are nice, but then if something works, it's taken as read, which is fine. I've got no issue with that. What I don't get, and I was expecting, is a lot of political flack.
Sure.
It's been quite a turbulent year. Very little has been mentioned about it. We really focus on local issues, and local issues, a few people will get in touch with me and we'll see what we can do. I will listen. Occasionally we have to manage expectations. So, look, I appreciate that. However, we can't. Other times we can. Bulk of my work is unsung, and I'd like to keep it that way and quiet, is people in crisis approach me discreetly, and we do whatever. We've got a very good support network within Cornwall Council, and in this year I've learned quickly, I now know who to contact about a particular thing. And we hear things about, the bins weren't empty last Wednesday or whatever. And there's a lot of good work goes on behind the scenes. And by definition, it has to stay behind the scenes because Mrs. Smith doesn't want the world to know her problems. But that's the bulk of my work. I've kind of lost my thread there, I think. But it's... Yeah,
just how you deal with the kind of negativity side of things. People getting hold of you and just like saying, look, Peter,
I'm a very patient chap, believe it or not. Talk to my partner if you want. She may disagree with you. But yeah, I mean... It's good that people can get things off the chest. Sometimes it's just a sit down with a cup of tea and a good chat. That's it. And they've offloaded, which is great. Other times, if I can pick up on particular issues that we can maybe do something about, or I can point them in the right direction, all the better. Yeah, that's productive. So, but the negativity doesn't weigh me down.
No, sure.
Like everything, if you have a good experience, you'll tell 2 people. If you have a bad experience, you'll tell 20.
This is the reality of it.
It's life.
It's life. It really is.
And,
so how do people get hold of you then? Is social media the best way? Website? A phone call? Which do you prefer?
No preference, really. Got to be very aware, as important as social media is, the bulk, not all residents will use it.
Sure,
I'm
absolutely.
A generational thing.
Indeed.
My phone number's well known. My email address is well known. I'm out and about in the villages. Grab me on the street. If you see me walking along with Bruno the Spaniel, just collar me, and it's great. I've got no preference. I will answer everything.
Great.
Well, I will attempt to answer everything. Let's put it that way. Let's leave that rider in there just in case.
Indeed. And is there anything exciting coming up that you're working on, or you could let us know about? Is there anything in the pipeline? What are you working on at the moment?
Well, we've just done the buses, which is great.
Yeah, that's amazing news. Yeah.
What we're currently doing is a Cornwall-wide thing. It's not necessarily particular. Although, actually, I'll bring something up in a minute.
Okay.
There's going to be going down the political road. I'm afraid there's a white paper coming through for the government, and it's focusing on the way children in care and children in alternative provision education are dealt with, and Cornwall's been kind of held up as an example. But we've got a very good children and families department. I'm honoured enough to sit on the committee of that.
Okay.
And they're kind of using us as best practice, along with other authorities around the country. But there's a lot of tweaking going on that. Certainly not as glamorous as it sounds, and it doesn't sound glamorous. It's important, but there's a lot of paper involved with that. That is a lot of reading. But if I could, harking back to the Roche skate park, which we agree is a success story. Bugle's historic skate park isn't necessarily such one. It's in a different location. It's run down. It's an area out of sight and out of minds. There's a lot of antisocial behaviour goes on there. The next big project will be to regenerate that. And again, we're going to go in at the start. We're going to involve the kids. We're going to involve the local residents. There'll be slightly different challenges for Roche, because Roche is an ideal location. It's on the main road. If you want to get up to no good, the world is going to see you.
Sure.
Bugle's in a slightly different thing. And it has been left to fall to rack and ruin. And I guess because of the environment, people won't treat it with respect. So, but yeah, watch this space. And once we get the ball rolling, we're currently at the talking stage. I've kind of in the stage of securing funding for it.
Okay.
That's the talking to the people. The next step will be involve the residents, involve the youngsters. It may not be a skate park.
Sure.
It's going to be a facility for Bugle.
Okay.
Primarily focused at the youth.
Great. Yeah.
If they want a pump track or whatever, we can talk
consult
about
them as well, I suppose, right?
Absolutely.
So listen.
That
to what
was
they
the
want.
secret. That was the secret of the success at Roche, and we really want to use that. If they can build up an ownership, give us their wish list. They won't get it. Won't necessarily get all of it, but you know, I mean, we can certainly take that sort of thing on board.
Yeah, sure.
So watch the space on that one.
No, indeed. And I'd just like to say a massive thank you to the Parish Council of Roche. I don't know the Parish Council in Bugle. I know there's some amazing people down there doing amazing things, like Jo, for example, and her Library of Things. I think that's another cracking idea. We could talk all about that as well. But this is what it's all about, communities. And I said to you before we started recording about my kind of belief of looking after the people and the people look after you, you know. And
Couldn't agree with you more.
Just be a nice person, isn't it, you know?
It's so much easier, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you achieve by sort of getting yourself wound up and having a rant?
I know.
You occasionally get stuff off your chest, but no. But yeah, I mean, on the subject of parish councils, in my division, Roche Bugle, can I mention Whitemore?
Indeed. Oh, yes, love Whitemore.
Never forget Whitemore. Knocking Gate. Repairing all that. And Ebenezer and all that.
Yeah.
I've got 5 parish councils within my division, and they really are the unsung heroes of local government.
Indeed, I would agree with you there.
There's so much work goes on. Again, much like me, people will tend to only get in touch with them if a pothole hasn't been fixed or there's dog mess outside, numbers 23. But they do a lot of good work, and they've been invaluable in the first year in office, if that doesn't sound too highfalutin.
That's about right.
They've been brilliant, you know, and the support I've got from them and given them back has been absolutely brilliant. And so really shout out to all 4 parish councils, 1 town council, because by default I've got bits of Nostell Town Council as well.
That's right. I know most of them as well. They're lovely.
Yeah, they're good people. We've got to keep them nice, haven't we? Otherwise they'll stop our bins being collected or something. So we have to keep them sweet. Keep them sweet. That's the secret.
Absolutely. Well, look, Peter, I could talk to you for ages, and unfortunately I can't because we're on a bit of a time limit here at the studio, but hopefully this won't be the last time we catch up. And in fact, hopefully it could be the start of some regular things. But Peter, thank you so much for popping up today. We really do appreciate it. Just quickly to finish, what's your initial thoughts on our setup up here? Have you?
Very impressed.
Yeah.
If he's offering guided tours, I recommend you come up, and that might be a nice little money earner for you. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Shane, I've loved it. Thank you very much.
What a pleasure.
Anytime you want me back, you know, if you've got a quiet news week, get me in.
Absolutely. Well, there we go. Peter Guest, Cornwall Councillor for Roche Bugle, Whitemore, Lockingate,
Ebenezer. If I've missed you, I apologise.
There's a load of little pockets.
Yeah. Clay country.
Indeed.
Most of clay country, let's leave it at that.
If you know anyone doing anything remarkable here in Cornwall, I'd love to hear from you. Send me an email to shane@cornwallchannel.co.uk. But for myself and Peter, it's a goodbye from us. And my thanks, as always, to Jay, our producer. See you next time. Bye-bye.